When Amanda Nguyen saw the video, she was horrified. The January 28th security footage, 84-year-old Vika Raktakampaka was shoved to the ground while taking his morning walk in San Francisco. Just 2 days after the assault, he died. 19-year-old Antoine Watson has since been charged and pleaded not guilty to murder and elder abuse. It was one of several incidents of physical violence against Asian American elders in recent weeks across the U.S., but Nguyen had yet to see coverage by a major news outlet about the concerning increase in violence towards Asian Americans and Pacific Islander communities. Following a year of xenophobic rhetoric and racist attacks amid the pandemic, I was mad, like blood boiling through my veins, watching my community get slaughtered, says Nguyen, a civil rights activist who was nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize for her work in advocating for sexual assault survivors. How many more people need to be killed in order for the news outlets, especially mainstream ones, to think that we're worthy of a story? In response, Nguyen made an Instagram video where she implored her viewers to speak out about Ratakpakanati's death, as well as the assault of a 64-year-old Vietnamese grandmother who was assaulted and robbed in San Jose, California, and the attack on a 61-year-old Filipino man whose face was slashed with a box cutter on a New York City subway. Nguyen's video went viral as more reports of violent attacks and robberies emerged, including one of a 91-year-old man who was caught on camera being thrown to the ground in Oakland, Chinatown, where there have been upwards of 20 violent attacks and robberies reported since January. Since the start of the pandemic last spring, Asian Americans have faced racist violence at a much higher rate than previous years. The NYPD reported that hate crimes motivated by anti sentiment jumped 1,900% in New York City in 2020. Stop AAPA Hate, a reporting database created at the beginning of the pandemic as a response to the increase in racial violence, received 2,808 reports of anti-Asian discrimination between March 19 and December 31, 2020. The violence has continued into 2021, and President Joe Biden signed an executive order denouncing anti-Asian discrimination shortly after taking office in January. While anti-Asian violence has taken place nationwide, in particular in major cities, the uptick in attacks in 2021 has been particularly focused in the Bay Area, especially in San Francisco and Oakland's Chinatowns. Many attribute the 2020 uptick to the xenophobic rhetoric of Biden's predecessor, former President Trump, repeatedly referred to COVID-19 as the China virus, blaming the country for the pandemic. In doing so, Trump followed in a long American history of using diseases to justify anti-Asian xenophobia, one that dates back to the 19th and 20th centuries and has helped to shape perception of Asian Americans as perpetual foreigners. There's a clear correlation between President Trump's incendiary comments, his insistence on using the term China's Chinese virus, and the subsequent hate speech spread on social media and the hate violence directed towards us, says Russell Jian, a co-founder of Stop AAPA Hate and a professor of Asian American Studies at San Francisco State University. It gives people license to attack us. The current spate of attacks on the elderly is part of how that rhetoric has impacted the broader population.
So the original intention of the Linda Matona's piece, I think, is just like to respond to the accidental death of her ex-husband and like his close friend, her close friend Mitchell Pani, and she kind of like in this video, she kind of like to mourn the sudden death of his husband from a gun accident by recounting like every detail of her experience.
Mhm. And so that was sort of speaking on the context of the original performance as well as the intentions, and speaking on sort of the aesthetic qualities of the original performance piece. She chose to record a video track of her, as I aforementioned, doing the meditative chants and recounting through the details of her husband's accidental death. And the original performance was shot in black and white with very grainy film texture for the video. And so what we did for the performance is we chose to sort of emulate this original aesthetic strategy of the Linda Montano piece, except this time we chose to do it as a duo instead of just a singular video panel.
Yeah, because we both of us live in the different time zones, so we just like to record it in separate ways and then to mix it together. And I think for our work, for our performance piece, it's kind of like a little bit different from the Linda's work, because like we kind of like to talk about like the current issues of the Asian Americas, because like we want to respond to the hate crimes of anti-Asia movement, this kind of thing. So we just like to select the one article from the Times, and we read the articles and to image what the Linda did for her performance, and we both of us just read the articles. So I think like the main purpose of like two performance pieces are different, but like the ways we present it is kind of like similar.
And for purposes of future archives, we did this performance piece in April of 2021. And during this time in the United States, there was a big shooting targeted towards Asian owned businesses. And throughout this past year, due to the pandemic, there was a lot of discriminations and subtle negativities directed towards the Asian communities within the United States. And so we really chose to speak on this as our topic. And if you, as the viewer who is watching this right now, is looking at this beyond 2021, we hope that this piece can sort of serve as an encapsulation of the times of the United States and Asian communities within the country.
Yeah. So I feel like it's a pretty nice project with this, and hope everyone could love it.
Cool.